So now go into rendering and setting materials up and things like that. So I was thinking for all this structure that we just made that it would be wood framed. So I get all my materials on flyingarchitecture.com, and I have a pretty big library now. I think you have to sign up, so it doesn't take long though. You just have to make an account, and then you can get so many materials. Just go in and start selecting the objects that you want to change. So I'll get these layers out. So we can first start by doing these drawers here. Actually, let's just do them all at the same time if we can. Should be able to just select all objects, all of our poly surfaces, and our pipes. I'm not sure what layer I put those on. I can do them later though. So, okay. So in order to change those materials, you first select them all, and then go into your M. And you have to have V-Ray to use the V-Ray materials, which is what I use. I haven't really used the default renderer for Rhino at all, so I don't know how those work, but you should be able to find some other tutorials probably if you don't have V-Ray. So go into this V-Ray Material Editor tab and right click on Scene Materials and then Load Material. And I have my own materials folder in my documents. So we'll just open up wood and then select one that you like. Can't exactly remember what these are. I think I used one for my last project. So click on it, and then it opens it up in this little window here, and then click on that and it'll give you a preview, and then right click on your material and apply to selection, then close out of that. And then if you go into your properties over here on the right side, on the left tab of that, you can go to the material tab under properties, and it assigns that material to the object now that you applied material to selection. And you can also apply material to layer. If I right click here and say apply to layer, if you designate like a whole layer to wood, you can easily manipulate all those at the same time. So if you want to change it back to the default random material, you say apply assign material by layer, and going back to the layers, see everything right here is still white, so it would change it back to white. So if we look closely, you can't really see the map at all, the texture map. So, and it's really scaled up, I believe. So if we go into texture mapping tab over here on the right, and then what I usually use is box mapping. I'm sure there's several other ways to do it as well, but this way works fine. Just click on the box map there, and then it asks you a series of questions. First corner of base. So it's asking you to define the area that's being mapped right now. So it's reading this whole entity as one material. So what we want to do is split it up into each piece being a material. So we're just going to press enter 3 times and change it manually. So it'll take a bit to scale that down, since we have so much selected. And then, so it comes up with a whole new list of options once you apply that box map. So here you see the XYZ size, and that is the scale of the material. So it is pretty large, the texture map. It's 89, 61, and 84, and usually what I do is like a 10, 10, 10, or something like that. Just something pretty small. Sorry, my computer froze for a sec. So usually I change it to, let's say 10, 10, and 10. And again, this will take a while since it's mapping each one of those surfaces. You can actually go into wireframe mode and do that, and it would be a lot faster because it's not, this is the rendered viewport. So I probably should have done that before I changed it, but it'll just take a little bit longer. Okay. So now we can, I guess let's do these joists first. Here. Deselect my floor slabs. And these beams. Okay, and then do the same thing. Go into Materials, right-click, Apply Material to Selection. And then box map it, press enter 3 times. And then I'll go into wireframe mode because this will go a lot faster. So 10, 10, 10. And go back into rendered. And then it's changed. So now you can see that it's changed those materials. And it might not be oriented the way that you want right now. I'll show you how to change that in a second. So you can do the floor slabs now. And I'll do those with concrete. So go back into my material editor, right click, load material, and then let's get some concrete. I think concrete 0.5. Yeah, there we go. Apply to selection and see that it's really large again. So box map that. Press enter 3 times. So that one actually looks pretty good, but let's go ahead and tone it down a little bit still. And then, just so we can see what's going on and how to change these materials a little bit, let's do this back wall. I haven't really designed any of that yet. It's still kind of open on this side, obviously. Just meant to be more as a section cut rendering. But we'll render this wall so we can kind of practice with these materials a bit. So load material, let's get a tiled concrete this time, and apply it to selection. And then if we wanted these panels, see this this rectangular panel is horizontal, so if I wanted it to stand vertically, I would map it, and then turn it down a bit again. It's probably kind of small. Let's go 40, 40, 40. Maybe even higher yet. So XYZ rotation. This is the orientation of the map on the material. So let's go ahead and flip it 90 degrees. And then you can also shift if you want this line to maybe match up at the bottom. You can shift it down. It may take a little bit to find exactly which one does the trick, but that one looked like it did it, and then you can change it slightly just by using these arrow keys. So that looks fine for the back wall, and then we can do the same to this wall here. Flip it. That one probably get a little bit smaller map, but it's okay. Just leave it. So you can also change the materials, the outside walls. So let's do let's just do concrete again for now, just because I don't really know what to make it. Let's map it. And then turn it down. So this is, I would call this good enough to render as it is. Oh man. Looks like I accidentally made those twice. Oh, I know what I did. Turn the test off. Okay. So let's just jump into setting up our scene for rendering. So a couple things that I do to get started. You can see that I placed this plane down here. This is called an infinity plane, and you can place that right here in your V-Ray options. It's part of V-Ray. I think it imports whenever you download the plugin. So you just click on that, and it makes a new plane on whatever layer you're on. So it'll just be white, since that's what all my default materials are for right now. And then the second thing I usually do is change my background to white. So that's in the V-Ray material options up here on the upper left. And then go into the environment tab and click on this reflection refraction background and change that to white. So now whenever you render it, it'll be white. And then also, depending on what view you want to be at, you can change your lens, like the millimeter. Like if it's like a real camera, you can make it more like a fisheye if you're wanting to get really close but still see the whole building. So if I were to change this, I would right-click on the viewport tab on the left, go all the way down to viewport properties, and then change the camera lens length. So the default is at 50, but you could change it to like 28 or something like that to get the whole building in if you want. So I'm going to shorten this wall just so we can see a little bit more of the inside.